Welcome, everyone. My name is Jacob. Thank you for joining me. This is Hunt Detail, and welcome to late September. Hope you're getting after it. If you're not, I hope you're getting ready to get after it. And it's an exciting time. I had a recent sit. I'll sort of give you some details on that. We're going to talk about weather apps, and there really is a difference. I mean, there's a lot of different apps out there, but there really is a different. We're going to stay high level, but just to sort of pique your interest, there's a lot of different weather forecasting models, and a lot of these apps that we use, we have no idea what forecasting model they're using. And I'll give you an example. There's GFS is a forecasting model, ECMWF, Icon, M Blue, GEM, KMA. These are all different forecasting models. And we're going to dive into that a little bit. I do have a couple things. First of all, want to let you all know that for the past almost 2 years, Hunt Detail has been part of the Sportsman's Empire Network. I started out independent, and then Dan Johnson allowed me to come into the network. Very appreciative of that. But next week will be the last episode as part of the network. It's nothing personal. Dan is great. I really appreciate the opportunity. I just want to move back to publishing my podcast on an independent level. And so, if you're getting this on, the Sportsman's Empire feed, obviously, in 3 weeks from now, or 2 weeks from now, I guess, the episode that drops will be on a different feed. So you'll have to go onto Spotify and look for Hunt Detail, or go to the Hunt Detail YouTube channel, and you can find the episodes. I'm going to start putting them there as well. But the Hunt Detail YouTube channel has a ton of content. I encourage you to go there and subscribe, or find me on Hunt Detail or on Instagram at Hunt Detail. But again, nothing negative or salacious here. It's just want to be able to have access to more analytics on around the podcast, so that I can see what is really resonating and what's not resonating. And really that's really the reason why I'm going back to independent, I guess, broadcasting, if you want to call it that. But the other thing that I wanted to touch on is, my gosh, those two young men out in Colorado, I think, excuse me, I think they were 25. Don't know the details, but obviously they passed away. They were 2 miles from their vehicle. Apparently, there's a lot of speculation as, whether it was hypothermia or a lightning strike or what. But regardless, it's really, really difficult news. And I just want to reiterate that as you go out, even if it's just to hunt whitetail in another state, have your log in on your wife's computer or her phone and put your Onyx or whatever map platform that you're using on her phone. Log into your account, so on some level she can see where you're at if you use breadcrumbs as you're hiking or whatever. Because I think, had that communication happened, and again, I don't know, this is all speculation, but I think those that were searching for them would have found them more quickly. Obviously, when you go out of cell coverage, that the tracking will still track you on your phone, but it won't sync up with the version that's, say, back at home on your wife's phone or wife's computer. But regardless, just having that data would have helped them sort of narrow their search. And I just want to reiterate that, because we obviously don't want any sort of tragedy like that happening to any one of us. Obviously, there's other things that you can do with, having a satellite communicator. There's also satellite communication options on an iPhone. But it's just very disappointing to hear. And just please take care of yourself out there as we get into full swing of the hunting season. I did had a recent sit, and piece of public, 100, or not, a piece of private, I'm sorry, roughly 100 acres. It's it gets hit really, really hard during gun season. I mean, it gets hammered. Last year, I think they pulled 12 deer off of it. I killed one buck, but there were 11 other deer that were killed. I think 9 other deer off of this piece the previous year. And it's, at some point it sort of catches up. It's only a 100-acre piece. Now, obviously, these deer are running across different geographies and territory, areas and that sort of thing. So it's not like fenced in, deer or anything like that. But at some at some point, it becomes a wasteland. But I went out last night. It was sort of an observation sit. I set up a particular small tree for my saddle to where I could be really close to the field edge. The way this terrain sets up is not ideal for bow hunting at all because it's all of the bedding and all of the wooded area is really north of your entry. And if in all of the open field area that may have corn or whatever crop the farmer has going is I guess on the south side. And we get a lot of south wind. So as you enter, your wind is going through either through the right to the bedding areas essentially. And and the deer, yeah, have obviously the advantage. And there was some light winds. It switched to a slight north, but then it switched back. And unfortunately, um, well, saw a lot of deer. They all sort of filtered uh, out at last light. A lot of does, I think a small buck. Um, but as as they come out, it's really they weren't really. I think 70 yards was as close as they got. And I would have shot a doe had I had an opportunity. I did have, I think, a doe wind me as the wind shifted back to south, right at last light, which was a little frustrating. But it was sort of one of those things that I wanted to just get a sense of what was happening, and I had a thought that I might, get busted or what have you. But I'm gonna go back again. I I'm not quite sure how I'm gonna hunt it. It's one of those things where I could almost sit in on some bales of hay out in this field, or in one of the sort of the barn area, the barns or other structures that the farmer has, and probably shoot a doe from one of those setups. It might be difficult, there might be a long shot. We would see, but I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. I know of an area of an oak flat where the more mature bucks have frequented in previous years, and my gut tells me is that I saw a lot of does and I saw a small buck. My gut tells me if I get back in there a little bit that while I might not see those numbers of deer, I might see the deer. And I have had some pics of 2 shooter bucks that have popped up. So we'll see how that goes. More details to come. I do want to punch a tag, even if it's a doe, before I head out for my mule deer hunt out west. Um, by the way, as you're prepping for your hunts, um, use the code DETAIL at redmond.life.com and you're going to save 15% on Relight. Relight is an electrolyte mix. It has 0 sugar. It tastes amazing. They have pina colada, mango, uh, triple berry, just a bunch of great flavors. I never use a full packet. I always put just a little bit just to give water a little bit of a taste. But it's here made right here in the US, and it's great stuff. They also have steak seasonings, and they have real salt, which you've probably seen. It comes out of Utah. Also use detail at rawrev.com. Raw Rev is makes protein bars. They're peanut based. They are I like the dark chocolate peanut butter. They have a brownie. They have a straight peanut butter. But they're like 12 to 13 grams of protein and like 2 to 3 grams of sugar. So I'm trying to keep sugar out of my life as much as possible. And that's always a nice snack in the afternoon. It's definitely I've definitely got a couple cases of it now, of which I'm going to take when I go out west, or I take out into the tree stand. But let's talk about some weather apps. Now, a lot of your hunt map apps are starting to integrate some level of weather. We're not going to get into that. I think it's great that they're doing that. But if you have an iPhone, iPhone comes with a generic weather app, and it shows sort of I guess, a 10-day forecast of the highs and the lows and the um, whether it's going to be partly cloudy or raining and that sort of thing. And then what I like is that it will show you if you click on as you scroll down, it'll show the current direction of the wind, and then as you uh, sort of toggle it along with your finger, it'll show what the speed of that wind and the direction as well over that same 10-day forecast. So I could go out, I can go out 10 days and it'll show me what that wind is supposed to do. Now, the problem with that, I mean, it's great. It's very, I like the interface a lot. I think it's very well designed, and it's got a lot of information that I need, as well as sunrise, sunset. I tend to look at that for my sunset so that I know when my last shooting minute is, and then it also has, I believe it has barometric pressure and moon phase and all of that stuff. But obviously, not all of us have iPhones, and we also don't know what the weather model is. Now, you can go to the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel is great because I think I like it a lot for radar. It shows a lot of, it has a lot of good imaging for radar. But I'm going to focus on three specific weather apps that I use a lot for hunting specifically. I might play around with the app that comes on my iPhone. I might play for just quick information. I might play around with the Weather Channel for radar if we have a tornado coming through, a tornado watch or whatever. But Wonderground is one that I really, really like. If you go onto their website, you can see historical weather, which is really nice. And that's always helpful to understand what, like, maybe if you had, had a good sit last year and you're like, what was that weather like again? And maybe you can see what the wind was, what the temperature did, if there was like a big drop, that sort of thing. And I don't think there's many, if any, weather websites or apps that have historical weather. But if with Wonderground, the thing that I like most is, and I always have this downloaded, is when you go on to the day and say today, and I can just toggle my finger left and right. And let's say I want to look at what 7 p.m. is. So I can see the temperature at 7 p.m. I can see what it feels like. I can see the precipitation, the humidity, a chance of precipitation, and it allows me to see what that weather is doing at every hour. So it's 2 miles south southeast, 3 miles a little bit later east southeast. And last night, for example, when I went out, it showed me that wind switch. And that's one of the reasons why I sat in that spot, because of that wind switch. Now, unfortunately, it switched back. It did not show that switch in the app, but it did switch back to south. And that's how I think it was a doe that busted me. But I would say windy is really helpful from the app standpoint because you can toggle. But I don't think that we truly know what weather forecasting model that they're using. And so when it comes to something that is, as I travel out west or even here locally, I want to get some other iterations or versions of what the weather is going to be like. I'll go to Windy. Now there's a couple Windy apps, and this one is red, and it has sort of two swoosh marks. Now, my critique of Windy is this: in order to change, you have a hamburger button on the bottom right side that allows you to look at weather radar, satellite, radar plus, rain and thunder. Um, it has you can really change. You can go to webcams, and so I could go to a webcam right now, and I'm actually going to do that while I have my phone with me. And I can go to a webcam that is, let's see what's out in Gillette, Wyoming. And now I'm connected um, to a webcam, um, and it shows me something that was 14 minutes ago in Gillette, Wyoming, on a really um, empty road. I can hit play. I can go out to Bozeman, Montana, and it's something that is really unique to that app is that you can really see what's going on across the country using these webcams. It also has active fires. I'm going to actually do this right now to see if there's any active fires out west. It does look like there's one in near Soda Springs, Idaho. And but here's where I think this app really separates itself is as you hit the hamburger, you can change from six different weather forecasting models. And I'm not going to get into each model, but I'll go through them. There's ECMWF, there's ICON, there's HRDPS, there's GFS, there's HRRR, and there's NAM. And each of these has, like the ECMWF, which is considered, I think, to be the most accurate in all the other forecast models. It actually stands for European Center for Medium Range Weather Forecast. Now, I'm not going to get into the analysis of each of these forecast models. It's just that I like to have access to all of these forecast models, and this is the free version of Windy. I think you can pay $30 a year and get some upgrades, but for me, it's all about using the free version. And so, if I have a big hunt or I'm going out of state to hunt whitetail somewhere else for a period of time, and I want to see what that weather's going to look like, I could bounce around to all six of these forecast models and get a sense of, okay, it does truly look like the temperature is going to drop by 20 degrees or whatever. And you can save your favorites and then go to those favorites. You can set alerts based on, I think if you have like particular types of weather or wind, like say you have a stand site that's where it works best for a north wind, sort of like the one I just described, you can set alerts within the app. But again, a lot of this is you're going to have to play with on your own. And a lot of it is going to be trial and error because I will say the interface with Windy is not easy. I've played around with this version for I don't know how long, and it just does not do what I want it to do all the time. And it's a bit frustrating at times, but I'm playing with the free version. What the other platform that I will say that is almost sort of right on the heels, I would say, of the Windy app. I think if I had to pick between two, I would say Windy is still my preferred option because of the 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 webcams or the weather cams, that sort of thing. But Ventusky is another great app that it has different forecasting models. This has Icon, GFS, KMA, GEM, HRRR, and NBM. And this goes out to, I think, 10 days as well, maybe longer. And you can, again, change weather models. You can change, you can look specifically at temperature across the country, precipitation, wind gust, wind speed. It looks like if you want to get some of the premium stuff, wind speed is a premium option, and that's $15 a year. And with that, you get a bunch of other freezing level, wave forecast, ocean currents, snow cover, cloud cover, wind gust. There's a lot of data that you can still get off of Ventusky that you can probably replicate on Windy. But I think, again, it has some different weather models that might be of interest to you. So those are two apps that I would highly recommend that you spend some time with and mess around with. Again, it's great to have, the Weather Channel or the one app, the weather app that sort of comes with your phone, or even the weather apps that are being integrated into Go Hunt or Onyx or Spartan Forge or any of those hunt map applications. But I think it's important to have, you might find other weather models more consistent and work better for you over time as you analyze them. You may find that the ECMFW isn't as accurate as maybe others believe it to be. And so those are, I hope those are helpful. My hope is to create a updated weather video for the Hunt Detail YouTube channel, analyzing these apps, because the last time I made one, I think it was probably 2 or 3 years ago. Obviously, things have evolved and things have changed. And there's a video on the Hunt Detail YouTube channel where you can see some of this, but again, it's a little dated. It's called the Weather App to Rule Them All. And it goes through a lot of the junk weather apps like WeatherBug. There's a bunch of junk weather apps out there that really don't do anything. All that they want you to do is subscribe and pay a monthly thing or a yearly thing, and they don't really give you any value, and they have a bunch of ads. It's just a giant mess. So I go through some of that junk as well, so you don't have to waste your time on that. But again, appreciate your support. Give this podcast a 5 stars, and best of luck this coming week, and we'll talk again next week. Thanks so much.